You cannot grow your business without growing yourself. If you have a limiting mindset around something, I don't care how much strategy you learn, you are going to be stuck in the same place financially or impact-wise.
How do you market a problem that people might not be aware of?
The more personal, the more universal. The more personal experiences and the more details you can provide inside of the story, the more universal it becomes, where people can self-identify and feel connected to you.
How do they hack into their mindset so they can actually create?
I start writing, pen and paper, not typing, exactly what it is of the life that I want, but writing it as if it's already happening. And especially when it comes to putting yourself out there, this fear of, I have to do more information, or I gotta shoot this video 50 times to make sure it's perfect in order for me to put it out. And now you've wasted so much time when the world just needs your content. They don't need you perfect.
We've got some fresh.
Hey, I'm Luis.
And this is Luis.
And welcome to the Content is Profit podcast.
In here, you're gonna get the insights, accountability, and drive to create consistently and increase revenue.
You'll hear from top entrepreneurs, creators, and anything and everything you need to know about content. All this while having a good time.
The goal of this podcast is simple: entertain, educate, and turn your content into profit. Let's go.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'm
All
ready.
right, I'm stoked. This person we've chased for months and months and months. We met her last year, and she's that good.
Are we that
busy.
intense? Because I feel that's the story of this podcast. We're like, I've chased this person for 3 months.
It's resilience. People ask us, like, how do you guys get guests? How do you guys stay so consistent? And 500 plus episodes later,
The answer is don't let them get away.
don't let them get away. And at the end of the day, I think because their experience and their message and what they do, it's amazing. It's creating a positive impact for who they help and their own businesses, which are incredible lessons for the listeners and the viewers. So that's why we put in the effort to do this. There you go. Is that a good answer, Fonzie?
Wow. That was good.
I'm on fire today. Anyways, guys, today we have a special guest. This person has a superpower, which is witnessing people's greatness and calling them forward onto it.
Ooh.
Did I say it right? Maybe.
Yeah,
Yes.
you said it right. I'm not gonna lie. When I read that, I was very excited.
I know.
So I was like, I need a little push.
By the way, we met her in person, right? And I had a
Yep.
conversation, and I felt that energy. And when you walk into a room in an event, you can feel like the real people and like the not so real people. And she was like
She was a very real people.
Yes. Something cool that I, highlight here, we're going to probably ask some questions about this, is going all in on building the rapid rewire method company and hitting 6 figures the first year of business. And this year, multi-6 figures. Let's go. We're probably going to dive into that. I wish we could hit 6 figures our first year.
I know.
We kind of did on paper, but then the money in our bank account didn't hit till like a year later. But that's fine. She also BS her way into a PR job in her early 20s and changing the way the liquor industry marketed by getting the product she represented into celebrity hands. I cannot wait for this. Maybe I read that right. I don't know. But anyways, guys, please welcome our friend, new friend of the podcast, possible Content is Profit Hall of Famer, our dear friend,
Stephanie Kwong. I hope I pronounced that properly. Hopefully.
You did.
Let's go.
Tintin.
Oh my gosh. Can I please just carry both of you with me everywhere I go? Because your energy, your humor is infectious. And yeah, I love it so
Thank
much.
you.
I'm so grateful to be here with you too.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Appreciate it.
Another tally for we are funny. Yes.
Right? You got it.
My brother's collecting a whole scissor reel of moments when people say we're funny so he can actually show it to his wife. So she can finally believe that he's funny.
How about this too? You're also so buff.
Yes.
You're welcome. Give that to your wife. You're like, hey.
Stephanie, you are good at bringing people up. I can tell hyping them up and making them feel real good. And I want to dive about that because, that actually has to do a lot with mindset, which, I feel is like your bread and butter. But to start us off, I want to dive a little bit into that, first year 6 figures and now multiple 6 figures. And what was the role of content and relationships in all of that?
100%. So, I had been a subconscious rewiring coach for about 13 years before I started the Rapid Rewire Method. I had a radically different audience because I was working directly with people to help them unlock, their greatness, essentially. Noticing what's in their way, what are the limitations, what holds them back that maybe they either made up as a child because they misinterpreted information and experiences, or that they were indoctrinated into because of society. Maybe their parents kept saying the same thing to them that was limiting or condescending or critical, that now they started to believe these things as a child, which then you get formed. Those are your beliefs, and then they become adults, and they are still, what I used to say is, there's so many kids in adult bodies. Like our consciousness is still so young, like based on what we learned as a kid. And then as an adult, you have so many limitations if, say, you grew up in an environment that wasn't conducive for being supportive, being encouraging, being loving.
Yeah.
And I know that, parents were trying to do their best, but this is what happens as a kid for many. And I know a lot of people's core wounds are, I'm unlovable, I'm not enough, I don't belong. And then you have to work through that as an adult. So I was working with people on how to identify that and then transcend that. And then 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago now, I'm trained in hypnosis, somatic experiencing, NLP, EFT, you name it, tons of modalities. I work with really high profile, high achieving people in my private practice. And 2.5 years ago, I had a miscarriage, and that took me out because when I got pregnant, I was not trying with my partner. He didn't want more kids. I really did. So when it happened, I was like, oh my gosh, this is our little miracle. We're meant to be parents. I'm meant to be a mom. I felt that really was my path. And then 9.5 weeks later, lost the baby. And so that was really difficult for me to move through. And even with all the tools I've been trained in, even with this amazing community of coaches, healers, therapists I had surrounded myself with over 13 years, I was progressively getting worse in the trauma responses where I couldn't function. I was getting triggered. If I looked at social media, everyone was announcing they were pregnant in 2021. I had days where I was just like suicidal ideation, couldn't get out of bed. I mean, it was pretty bad. And then I ended up getting connected to these tools that are the rapid rewire method. And literally in one session, 60-minute session, process the trauma of miscarriage, drain the emotional charge that I couldn't even feel or find sadness or grief in my body anymore. It was gone. I've never had to revisit it. It's never come back. So that's when I was like, what is this? I thought I had the best and baddest tools, and this was something radically different than I'd ever experienced. And so I went down this path for a little bit, and then I got the divine command, you're meant to bring these tools into the world. And so then I launched the rapid rewire method. So that's how that came to be. But it's because I was consistently sharing myself online, right? Content, showing up, doing lives on Facebook, on Instagram, that I had built an audience when I was a subconscious rewiring coach. Now, when I had to make this pivot, we're now focused more on coaches, therapists, healers. We are still working with the general population or non-coaches, but it took something in terms of how do we create content that can speak to the right target audience. That was number one, that really benefited, being able to hit those 6 figures. Is so often, I think people, if you're too general in your content, you're speaking into the void. You have to actually cater your content to be able to have that person who's listening or reading go, oh, that's me. And they self-select, and then they end up joining, your program or hiring you for your services. So that was really big for us on the content side. And then the other piece that you mentioned was the relationships. I mean, relationships are everything to me. It's even in my human design. It's in all these, personality tests that I take that say I am a community builder and a relationship builder. And there's a lot of different ways that I do that. And because of that, I was able to reach out to a lot of people in my community. And because I built trust with them over time as well, part of the relationship building, right?
Yeah.
Many of them hopped into the training. And so we hit, that 6 figures in the first year. We hit multi 6 figures our second year. And we're in our 3rd year right now. We're on track to hit 7 figures. Now we're beefing up our marketing efforts this year. So we are running paid media. We have a lot of great affiliates. But again, how do we have the affiliates? relationships.
Yeah.
And for us, and then also, of course, doing content, we have another new social media manager right now I still will do a lot of my own content because I feel like it's important to have your voice infused in it and not just use ChatGPT or someone else who can mimic your voice because it's still your wisdom, right?
Yeah.
And that cannot be replicated. So we are hitting it on all different levels in order to continue to drive people to our company and our, training so that we can really serve people deeply.
Yeah.
And for me, this mission is so critical and important to liberate people from their suffering that I don't shut my mouth. So that's a big part of what enables this business to grow so fast is, the relationship building and then also keeping my mouth open on socials. So and building that content for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing. And before you, share your comment here real quick, I just want to point out for the person listening, your answer was just beautiful, like masterfully crafted, and I'm just, I want to dive in obviously into some of the stuff that you just mentioned, but breaking it down for the person listening, she started answering this with her story and she really got us invested, right? Showing what was the transformation and, obviously guiding us through her experience. And I'm sorry to hear obviously about, the miscarriage, like I can even imagine. But by you leading us with your story, you got us super invested in, the factual answer of the question that I made at the very beginning, right? If you would have just give us the answer, sure, obviously it would have been good and interesting. But the fact that you added that story at the beginning and you showed that transformation, why it led you, to the new thing that you're doing right now, that got people super invested. So good lesson here for you, listener. Include the stories, right? Learn your stories, write them down, practice them. Because when you are going to answer something, if you attach a story to it, it's going to be way, way more powerful and people are going to remember it way better as well.
Yeah.
100%. And not only that, but when I learned this from an old mentor coach, he said, the more personal, the more universal. So the more personal experiences and the more details you can provide inside of the story, right? Where I'm sharing, I wasn't doing necessarily to follow this formula, but it was very true where I included the facts of suicidal ideation.
Yeah.
I couldn't even look at social media. Everyone is announcing they were pregnant in 2021 and that really impacted me. So now I can't even look at social media anymore. There's other elements that I could have brought in. I gave kind of the shorter version, but when you start giving details of your story, like if you're talking about your father and how you used to ride on a ranch and you'd see his big hands and he'd pull those leather gloves that had mud caked onto it. And he felt proud when he would put those on to be able to work with the horses. All those details now, people are in the picture with you.
Yeah.
And the more, again, detailed and personal the story is, the more universal it becomes where people can self-identify and feel connected to you. So I just wanted to share that bit as well.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Steph. The masterclass on storytelling for this, obviously, you've been doing it for quite a while. I'm going to, hopefully we can, if you're down for it, I would love to show a path, kind of like a roadmap, a little blueprint, right, on how you guys are driving those relationships, right? So, for example, on our show, we tell everybody, every single person that comes to the show, that's that first relationship, friend, right? And after that is I'm sure there's opportunities that come along that, affiliate deals, different, referrals, connections, events, and everything that, we've achieved in the last 3 years has come because of this show, right? And we share that very openly. Now, you share that, I want to get a little bit more specific on your offering, right? I'm assuming it's a coaching offer, right? And how can people that might be listening, maybe it's not a coaching offer, I don't know, but people listening, if they can grab those elements from starting from that storytelling, right, to their own social media. You mentioned that you execute on your social media. What are those elements? Is it writing? Is it email? Is it social? And then how are you connecting that to your offer, right? Is there a sales page? You do you like sales calls? You have conversations with them to lead them into the offer. Is it mid offer, low offer? Do you have both? Like, how does that look like? You can get as specific as you want and then go from there. Hopefully people can see the path and then plug in where they can in order to boost their businesses.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, how much time do we have?
We good.
I'm like, which funnel do I go down?
No, you can. Let's go to your favorite, or I guess,
or the first one that took you to your first 6 figures, right?
Yeah.
I think that would make more sense, honestly, for the audience that is listening to this podcast.
Yeah. So I would say again, it's always a blend of stuff.
Yeah.
Something that I always share with new business owners. We'll start with one thing and go all in on it. One marketing tactic, one social media platform, one thing that you can go all in on. I think when we start to try to do too much, we're not going to gain traction. But then once you build that momentum, then start to diversify your marketing efforts, because when you do, we have one machine, our training company. We train people in a set of cutting edge transformational tools that can release inner barriers, limiting beliefs, and trauma in 60 minutes or less. That's where we're trying to get people to. But then what we have now are multiple spokes in order to drive people in there, because you never know what's going to happen. If one of those pieces falls or breaks, you don't want the entire machine to fall apart. So you want to have all these little machines funneling into the bigger, mission or your actual offers, so that if anything happens, like, a few years ago, Facebook decided to change their algorithms. People who had built their businesses on ads got screwed, right?
No.
They took a big hit. I had another girlfriend who, how she built hers was creating content on Facebook only. She never collected emails. And so her account got banned. And then now she lost her entire business overnight because that's where all her people were. So as you grow your business, trying to find multiple ways in order to feed it, to feed the machine. But for me, initially was creating a lead magnet. So one of the pieces, or the biggest barrier to our work, because it's, teaching people tools to help to alleviate suffering, right?
Yeah.
They don't really want to invest into it until they've experienced it. So we made a freebie where we did a demo. You could watch it, you can experience one of our processes, and then that creates the buy-in. So I would say the first thing, if you're listening, create something free that shows who you are and the service that you provide. You don't have to give away the full thing, but give people a taste of it or an experience of who you are and how you work. So we initially created that freebie, and you can either opt in via our website. We also have, created a static landing page that if I'm on a podcast, we would share that landing page and then people could opt in. It's easier than trying to scroll through your website to try to find the freebie section, right? So a very direct, simple landing page that we had created. And so I was either leading people to our website. Every time we'd create content on social media, we would drive it to the freebie. And then inside of our bio, of course, you have a link. Try to keep it as simple as possible. I see some people's link trees and it's so complex. There's like 15 options that someone comes, they don't even know what you want them to do, right? Make it simple. 1 or 2 or maybe 3 CTAs on the link tree of like, where do you actually want to direct people, so that you can essentially, what we were trying to do is collect emails so that we can build relationship and then eventually create that like, know, and trust factor so that they'll eventually purchase our program.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's how we got people in, was either through that simple landing page or via our website, social content pushes to downloading a freebie. Once they got into the freebie, we had, a way for them to opt in. And then once they opted in, the delivery page of our freebie is a video.
Yeah.
On that delivery page, below it now, we have an offer that if you enjoyed that experience and you want to actually learn how to use this tool on yourself and another person, buy this for $97. So we still have this right now on our site.
Awesome.
So when you're asking Luis, like, do you have an ascension model? Yes. Again, we try to step people through. So we give them one of our 15 tools that they can buy for just $97, because it's for, it's about $4,500 for our practitioner training, and then now just $1,000 for our self-mastery, which is non-coaches. But now once they have their experience, we create an immediate opportunity for them to take another action, to purchase this one tool for a very low price, And then once they buy that, what you want to do is you want to get your customer, and I know you guys know this, but I'm saying this for the listener,
Yeah, I know this
Yeah,
is
of
great.
course.
to continue to take actions where you're directing them. And the more they do, that increases their chances or your assurance that they will buy your higher ticket offer.
Yeah.
Some people need tasters before they, dive into the deep end of the pool. They want to like slowly move in. So having a lower ticket offer, something that's easy and also is no effort on your part, because if someone buys the 97, it's actually just a self-study. So it's 97 for us. We can take that money now, run it into ads, drive it into, other ways to market. But then with the 97, we have an entire email sequence that then checks in on people. How was the experience with the process? And here's our bigger offering if you want more.
Cool.
So that's one of the funnels, but probably our main one that works the best at the moment.
Yeah.
We also do have like ads to DMs and things like that, but that's something that I would tell someone to make sure you do. And that's how you can also nurture those relationships. People start to get to understand you, you're providing value, and then boom, get them to buy.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steph, by the way, for showing literally the blueprint for
The path from content to profit.
for content to profit. I really appreciate that. I have one last question before we move into whatever Fonz is thinking. But you mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, you solve a pretty unique problem, right? And sometimes people might not be aware of that problem, right? And maybe you as soon as you meet them, you'll be like, I can spot it right there. It's like all over you, right? But maybe they're not aware. So how do you market a problem that people might not be aware of?
Some people, there's two schools of thought in the marketing world. I know the old school was like, talk about their pain points, right? What are people struggling with, and literally articulate them. And most people will be like, holy crap, that's me. Are you laying awake at night, cannot fall asleep? You're literally thinking about all the things you haven't done for the day. Who doesn't like you? You're imagining your bank account in the negative, and you're having a hard time falling asleep, right? There are people who struggle with those limitations, right?
Yeah.
Or you might be out and you're in a social context and you just want to connect with great people, but you find yourself sitting in a corner, not talking to anyone and feeling bad about yourself.
Yeah, that's my brother.
And wondering why you even came out in the first place. Exactly. Or you look in the mirror and you're going, gosh, I'm so buff and the world is so flabby. Like, what's wrong with the world? Right?
Yeah, that's my brother too.
Yeah, definitely. That's
Right?
why I hide under my sweater.
Exactly. But do you see where it's like, so part of people will say, especially in my world, it's like, point out what's not working in people's lives. What are they struggling with? So then they go, oh, I do that. And like, that's a struggle. And then I know there's other school of thought where they're like, don't talk about the pain points, paint the vision for who they want to become, and then market that way, right? We do a blend of the both, of two. And then we start to go into our social media and we'll look at the insights to see which content is performing better. And then we double down on that, right?
Cool.
So whatever has more engagement, whatever is getting more interaction, more views, more shares, more likes, that's what we'll push. And then that's how you can also test to see what your audience wants from you.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes we think, oh, we just want to talk about this, but that might not be what is going to land for them or benefit them or create value. And you want to make sure that you're constantly creating value. So usually, we will talk about the tough things, the things that people won't mention, the private conversations that people have within themselves, but they won't tell other people. We put it on blast. And it's quite common. Humans are complex, yet they're not, right? I can look at someone, I can just listen to them talk, and I can tell you where they're limited. I could tell you where they have beliefs that don't serve them, that get in their way, and why they struggle. And so if you just pay attention, people are quite similar in their struggles. They might articulate a little bit differently, but we share common challenges. And if you can just speak them out and someone can see, oh, that's me, now you've caught their attention.
Yeah.
And that's really how we play with content on that.
Thank you. So good.
Yeah, this is absolutely
The
amazing.
best part is that you called me buffed. Yeah.
I think at this point there's a lot to take action on, right? A lot to definitely debrief and sit down that somebody can say, okay, I can implement this and create some sort of plan of action. I want to go into the mindset things, and I also want to go into the relationship thing. We were talking about it before the episode started, right? So maybe we can do quickly mindset and then go end up on the relationships. I know you got some notes that you wrote about my brother that you're about to reveal them. We don't know what they are, but you say you were going to reveal them in there. But to start with the mindset side of things, right? I feel like a lot of people, when they step into this and they step into, okay, I'm going to create content, I'm going to become the main character of my business, right? Show my face in camera, right? Share my message. A lot of times there's blockage in there, right? We work with a lot of people that they have a very difficult time. As soon as you press record, they turn into a whole different person, right? So I'm curious, do you struggle with some of those things when you first starting sharing your message? Or maybe what is a tool, right, that people can use to maybe hack their mindset into taking action? Because we saw a story recently that it was kind of like a little metaphor that we really enjoyed. My brother shared it with me about a guy saying like, hey, look, a lot of us are into, taking action, and some of you are into taking just information, right? But you need a kind of like both in order to move forward. Imagine one leg is action and one leg is information. If you only take action, you're just going to be going in circles. If you just take information, you're going to be going in circles. So you got to take action, educate yourself. Action, educate yourself, right? And I think that is a loop that a lot of people get stuck on. I get stuck on into the information loop. I don't know my brother, but I'm gonna throw a guess. I think he gets stuck on the action loop, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious.
That's why we hug each other and then we walk together.
There we go. That is right. So, I'm curious for somebody that might stuck in one of those, specifically in the context of content, right? How do they hack into their mindset so they can actually create, right? Or, educate themselves. Maybe they've been creating, but they haven't been seeing the results, right? Like, what is that mindset space that they need to be in?
Yeah, 100%. So, I always tell people, if you want to grow, get into a relationship, have a kid, or start a business. Because all your crap is going to start to come up that's been hidden away.
Wait, what was the first one? So get a kid, start a business,
get in a relationship, get a kid, or start or the business or the relationship.
Yeah, have a kid.
I'm growing to the max.
I know exactly.
I'm all three. Fonzie, where do you
the
go?
Trifecta. Yeah. I'm on two.
And some people will ignore it and try to push through, but eventually your stuff surfaces, and it starts to show you what's not working within internally. And you can either transform that so that you can transcend it and actually achieve what you say you want, or be the type of parent or partner that you want to be. Or some people just drive it into the ground because they avoid the growth piece. You cannot grow your business without growing yourself, period. If you have a limiting mindset around something, I don't care how much strategy you learn, Fonzie, right? Yeah. You are going to be stuck in the same place financially or impact wise. Because if you believe that money is evil or that I'm not worthy of it, you will play to the level of your belief or to your identity, who you believe you think you are. And again, if you don't shift that to match the results you want to create in your business, you are always going to stay stuck. I know so many people out there who hire business coach after business coach after business coach after business coach. They'll spend $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 on a business coach. They'll know the strategy, but they're either not implementing, or they're stuck in perfectionism and wanting to learn more and more information before they put something out there so that it's good enough. Or, if you are not evolved as a being and you are someone who's a constant action taker, it could also be a trauma response. I'm not valuable unless I'm creating. I'm not valuable unless I'm doing, because doing equals my worth. That was me. I couldn't stop. My dad used to drill messages in of like, I'll sleep when I'm dead, be useful in life, don't mess up too. So there were so many mixed messages in me that even when I was sick, I told you guys, before we hit record, that I was sick last week. I thought I'd work through it. But one day I had to just completely rest. No work, no TV, just like be in bed. And I was battling my mind for a majority of the day, feeling guilty for not working because we moved So I spent days not working. I should be working, and now I'm laying in bed. What's wrong with me? And I went into this spiral, and then I could course correct, but then I dive back in. So, a lot of people's too much of something, I'm going to guess, is an unhealthy pattern that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Right. And especially when it comes to putting yourself out there, this fear of, I have to do more information, or I got to shoot this video 50 times to make sure it's perfect in order for me to put it out. And now you've wasted so much time when the world just needs your content. They don't need you perfect, right? Just get it out there. And so that's when you get to start to see, ooh, why am I struggling so hard to put content out there? Why do I have to dive into trying to learn so much information and needing to be perfect about it before I can just, create something? Why can't I stop being in motion and have to constantly execute and can't rest? Yeah. These are all unconscious patterns that you're being controlled by. You are not controlling your life. And we think we're in charge, but we're actually not. We are programmed from our past, and our program runs us. So this becomes the work. And this is what gets revealed in entrepreneurship, right? Yeah. Where you start to observe yourself and go, this isn't working. Oh my gosh, I'm burning out. Oh my gosh, it's been 5 days and I can't even put up a piece of content. Oh my gosh, I put the content up and want to take it down now because I think there's something wrong with it. Or I didn't get enough likes and shares. It. Who cares? Just keep marching forward. These are all signals to begin to look internally and go, what are these limitations and these barriers that are stopping me from what I actually want to achieve? And then you do the work to shift that. So giving a quick plug is, if people want to break through that, it's not just conscious level mindset work, right? Some people just go into reframing. And it's like, well, how do I just shift this and tell myself a different story about this so that I can move into action? That still many times doesn't work. Now you're just trying to force yourself, and then it doesn't feel good. Really, where the core lies is diving deep internally, going, what are the beliefs about myself, about the world, about what I deserve, about, that, like my beliefs, and let's transform that at a subconscious level. Because once that gets integrated, you are free to make choices. You are free to take actions that maybe you once could not before, like putting yourself on a video and just launching it onto a social media platform. So, this is what we teach. We teach people the tools to liberate themselves from these inner barriers, from these limitations, from trauma of the past that also creates coping mechanisms, which usually are ineffective behaviors now. So if you go to our website, or if you go to the landing page, you go to the show notes.
Yep. They're right here. All you got to do is scroll down.
Scroll back, yeah. There's a link where you can try one of our freebies. We literally give you one of our tools to listen to and to process with, to free yourself. And in a way that you don't have to keep revisiting it, because that's what mindset work does. It's conscious level. So you might feel a shift in the moment, and then all of a sudden it comes back up later. And you're like, oh, I thought I worked through this. Why is it still here? Because you haven't actually integrated the issue. You haven't shifted it on a subconscious level. And that's where you need to go to. And once that shifts, everything changes. You, again, play at the level of belief and identity. If you don't believe that you're worthy of success, guess what? I don't care how much you execute. You will still only play at one level, and you hit a ceiling, and you cannot ascend that until you grow yourself.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Look at that.
There's fireworks.
Yes,
wow, fireworks right after she was done. That's a level up from dropping the mic. That was absolutely amazing. For those listening, go watch the video. As soon as she was done, fireworks popped in her screen. Wow, this is a sign. I'm telling you, a couple of things. First, you said too much of something is very unhealthy. I think I need to stop with the ice cream, first of all. I've been eating way too much ice cream. But also, in a more serious note, I procrastinate a lot. I think I have deeply ingrained in me the belief that I am lazy, right? And when I look back into my life, there's a lot of moments, where my dad's saying, like, you're being lazy, in soccer, school, all these things. So I'll be the first one clicking on that link and looking at, the resource that you guys are providing, because I'm very interested. I've seen myself in cycles, right, in the last couple of years where, we get to a certain point and honestly, it feels like things happen, right? But obviously, I think it's also my subconscious just looking at it and kind of like sabotaging myself from going to the next level, right? I you know, full transparency and vulnerability. Like this last couple days, that's exactly how I felt, you know, a little bit, you know, down, clouded. My girlfriend is in the other room. She can attest for all that.
We even hosted a game night last night, and you know, we all talked in private, like, well, we should, you know, let Fonzie maybe win something like this. And at the end of the game, it was like a 2-hour game. He almost did it, and then my wife crushed Fonzie's dream of winning. And then
she crushed my spirits. I came crashing down. But
by the way, I'm kidding. We did not plot to let Fonzie win. He
of course not.
Crushed it.
His wife's mission is to never let me win. I'm a trash talker by nature. You know, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry at all.
Makes a lot of enemies.
But you know, going back to the serious note here. I'm super interested in what you're saying, you know, because I've noticed those patterns in my own life. I am 100% believer. We say this all the time, you know, your business growth to the extent that you do. So what you mentioned, right? The world's now I realize I actually didn't write the exact quote, but you pretty much mentioned something along the same lines, right? Like you got to grow alongside with your business, you know, it's as important. And I felt like, boom, I'm hitting those roadblocks when we get to a certain point in the business, and it's kind of like the subconscious taking over, right? And maybe I need one of those tools to look internally. So I want to, again, invite everybody that is listening, click on that link, actually reflect on yourself. What are some moments that you feel, you know, that you're stuck, that you may be sabotaging yourself, and go check out the tool that Stephanie's provided with us and do it, right? Not just get information, do the action. We talked about it because a lot of times, and I'm guilty of that, I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. Let me watch the VSL. All right, cool. Let me move on to the next thing. And then 2 days later, I cannot recall at all what I saw, right? We're just moving so fast paced. There's very little reflection on what we do on a day-to-day basis that, again, we're just going through the motions. We're not really actually being intentional about the things that we're doing, right? And is on everything. Like, it's not just on your personal growth, like on everything. You know, like we watch a movie and then immediately after it's done, we move on to the next thing. Next day, ask you, how was the movie? What do you like about it? You can probably can't tell what you liked about it. You're like, oh yeah, well, it was a decent movie. But you don't really know the details because we don't really reflect on a lot of the things that we're doing.
Steph, I really appreciate you showing up today and, you know, authentic, transparent, and you show the path on, you know, to get to those 6 figures and multi-6 figures.
Yeah. We need the notes on you though.
Not only on paper, but also mentally, right? Like what it takes for a lot of people to do this, right? And I think over the last couple of years, you know, we've been in that journey, right, through it, and we continue to grow and so on. And I think, Fonzie, you need a kid to continue to grow. And
the perfect trifecta.
We need the cousins. Thank you, Steph, for planting the seed there. But no, I mean, it's been really good, and I want to encourage every single person to go and, you know, maybe rewatch or re-listen with the eyes of like, okay, what is like the one thing that I'm gonna take from this conversation, and start bringing awareness to it, so then we can face it, right? Apart from, you know, the tactical of like, how does the business grow? I think the second part of the conversation is what's gonna get us to execute on that tactical.
Can I just jump in really quick
absolutely.
on that too? Is I didn't share that piece of, you know, my business growing from hitting the 6 figures to the multi-6, we're on track for 7. It also came from the inner work that I did. And I'm going to give you guys a tip, because this is something I do on the daily. So now you're getting an insider into what I do to rewire. I used to be a hypnotist, so I know that now you need to embed into your subconscious what you want to believe so that you become it, right? And then your results that you create match what it is that you're saying of who you are and what you believe. And so I have hypnosis tracks, meditation tracks that are very affirming of prosperity, of wealth, of impact, of success. And I put those, and it has binaural beats behind it. You could probably find some on YouTube, but I put them into my ears and I start writing, pen and paper, not typing, exactly what it is of the life that I want, but writing it as if it's already happening. So I'm surrounded by an epic community of heart-centered, highly influential leaders who love to share my work with our community, and we support and champion each other. This is why I have that, because I've literally embedded that belief. I've also embedded the financial goals that we've hit for the year. We already declared what we wanted to make in 2024, and I'm writing it down. Like, I'm so happy and grateful now that we've hit, 1.5 million by December 31st, 2024. And you, in addition to writing what you want as if it's already done. So I am or I have, don't write I want or I will or I wish or I hope, but just I am or I have, write it down. As you're listening to these affirmations, the most important thing is to feel it being done. Like you've literally achieved it. The feeling that's going to arise as you've already hit that achievement, that's the magnetic energy that you create to magnetize and attract what it is that you want to you.
Yeah.
The more I'm in it, all of a sudden we literally get emails of like, hey, do you do collaborations? Hey, we want to have you on our podcast. Hey, like, and I'm not doing anything. It literally comes in. And I notice when I'm off track from doing that, things slow down. So take the time to do that. It is so, so important. And my business matches who I've become over the past 2.5 years too. But I've done the work. I can learn all the strategy on how to build my business. But if I'm not the person who can have the type of business I want, it doesn't matter how much I execute or how much strategy I learn. I will stay stuck in my patterns and keep, circling my own tail.
Makes so much sense. Thanks, Steph. I mean, you did all the roadmaps. Homework for everybody listening or watching. Rewatch this and, go back to your notes and executing. I put in a goal with one of our masterminds that I wanted to get up at 4 a.m. every morning, right? And get some deep work before my day started, with the kids, with the studio, with the craziness. And I have not hit that goal once. And this is 15 days ago, right? Which, it's helped me learn a lot about my daily flow and how I work and my high energy moment and, my bedtime routine. And that's part of it, right? It goes still there. And I think for me, what I've identified has been putting like an anchor of an action, right? So for example, we wanted to be very consistent with the podcast for a long time. The anchor was we're going to bring and put somebody in the calendar Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at noon. So we actually go and sit down and do it. And it's funny because when that doesn't happen, it adds a ton of friction, and then we either don't sit down or we do it later in the day, and it's just like this craziness. So put that event in front of us to do that. And you gave me like a really, really good idea because I've been trying to, I have my affirmations. I don't do them. I need to go do them, right? And, firm believer, I have backstory with like soccer and stuff that I have proof that has worked in my life, right? And that's what I'm working on, like fully transparent right now. But what you just mentioned is that's going to be my anchor for the early morning. That's going to be the start of my day. I'm going to do that. I'm going to have my music, my affirmations. I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to have my ritual in the morning, which I haven't done a morning ritual in so long. It's like get up and go, get coffee and start working. So This is my commitment to you, Steph, and for everybody listening that I'm going to start doing it. So thank you for that.
And I hope everybody does that alongside you because it is so important. To me, that is the most important work of entrepreneurship. Yeah. Yes, you can execute on strategy, but that is the most important if you want to achieve what you want. And what you mentioned of doing in the morning is brilliant because when I was a hypnotist, something that we talked about a lot was the magic 30, which is 30 minutes before you go to bed, 30 minutes before you wake up in the morning, you're actually in a naturally hypnotic state. Your brain waves, right now we're in beta, and then it moves to alpha, theta, and then delta is sleep. So that theta alpha brainwave state is when your unconscious mind is more suggestible. So when you start to say your affirmations, and it's not just about saying affirmations, it's really feeling it to be true. That is actually the key, which is why people will say affirmations don't work because they're not feeling it. They're just mechanically thinking it. Yeah. But when you do that, especially during the magic 30 time, it embeds way easier into your conscious. So I always tell people when you go to bed at night, when you wake up in the morning, don't look at your phone, don't check your emails or your texts, don't watch the news at night and leave it on and fall asleep to it. If you don't want that stuff to go into your unconscious, you need to guard it with everything you have and really use that precious time when your mind is more fertile to receive, to put the things in there that are actually going to support you, again, in who you want to be and what you want to create in your life. So that is so good. Again, Luis, that you're going to do that in the morning and create that space and time for you, because that extra 20 or 30 minutes that you carve out to do the thing to grow yourself is going to shortcut the rest of your day on how much you can achieve.
Yeah, I love it. Steph, thank you.
I need to do something about having the phone next to my bed. I do have actually some hypnosis apps that I listen to here once in a while, but I need to get into.
I want to be like my brother. I want to be like my brother.
I want to be buff as my brother. But I do need to get into that feeling, because a lot of the times what happens is once I start doing that and listening to that, I feel like eventually there's this little voice that fights it, right? Like that negativity voice that is like, no, and you have like this like inner dialogue battle, which is absolutely terrible.
Grab your hand, picture that negative voice in their face, and then slap it.
maybe I should
Send
do
it
that.
over.
Right. So yeah, I really like this. I really like the Magic 30. I think that is something very actionable. And for those that are listening to this right now, and they might thinking like, well, that is like so out there. I'm going to recommend a book that actually scientifically speaks a little bit about this. It's Becoming Superhuman by Joe Dispenza. Magnificent book. It actually got recommended a very long time ago by another guest here in the Context Profit podcast. I went on, read it. I was like, this is absolutely amazing. And it really breaks down, what Stephanie's talking about on having the feeling, right? Make sure you're tuned into the feeling, not just saying these things, not just, writing them on paper. You need to make sure, you are feeling it, because those are the vibrations that are going to attract, the things that I'm not going to say you deserve, right? Like that you earn, that you're meant to be. So thank you for that reminder. I need to be more conscious of that. Like you said, guard my mind. I was literally imagining just kind of like a little Fonzie fighting in there, get the negative thoughts. So yeah, I really appreciate that. Good. Yeah. It was a good conversation to have today. I needed this.
Steph, Fonzie planted a hook earlier about some notes that you had about me after we met. And, obviously the theme of I think the quarter on the episodes has been relationships, right? And right before I was like, oh yeah, we have this note. And obviously, we obviously take notes and things, but my personal ones are very curious, on how I can memorize who that person is, or something very interesting. And you said, I have some of you. And we're like, don't say them right now. Say them on the episode. So this is actually my first time reacting to this. Let's hope it goes well.
Yeah. Can you share the story of why you have the notes? I thought that was pretty cool, though.
Yes. So that's what I was going to say. I'll give some context for people listening. Is essentially, I was talking about the success of my dad, and he, as an immigrant man, came from China. He got sent here at 17 by my grandparents. He was the firstborn son of 8 kids, and it was like, figure it out and send the whole family over here.
Wow.
So he had to figure it out, not knowing the language, not having connections, no money. And how he built his business successfully was relationships. Coming, not knowing anybody, when he started in real estate, he walked around and knocked on doors and took notes every time he met with someone. And then when he'd come back to their door again 2 weeks later, he'd be like, hey, how's your dog, Bluey? Or how's your daughter doing in whatever college? And people, that's how he built a relationship, because people give a big crap about themselves. Yeah. That's really what they care about, right? So then now if you show that you're listening and paying attention, and again, not as a strategy, genuinely wanting to know people, it's important. And I actually didn't realize until later that I was taking notes too. And then I heard the story from my dad. I'm like, I guess this was in my blood or something. But instead of relying on my mind to try to remember everything, I just take notes. And it's helped so much for cultivating intimacy and deeper relationship and rapport. So when I met Luis in Florida at Podcast Movement, right after we stopped talking, I was of course, listening and just kind of tagging the things that you said in my mind. And then right when you left, I'm in my phone in my notes. So met at Podcast Movement when he and his brother were walking in. He knows Michael Anthony of Unbroken and Allie Bigger. That's the reference of how I know you now.
Yeah.
Lives in Jacksonville, Florida. Wife is Canadian. He's from Venezuela. Oops, sorry.
Got it.
Sons Luca and Mateo. Learned podcasting from John Lee Dumas and does a bunch of biz podcasting. Owns a podcasting studio where different podcasts come in to record. Co-host of top podcast content is Profit. Talk to him about Rewire. And And then on 12/9/23, so we met last fall, and then we had another follow-up conversation. Had just acquired the recording studio when we met. Oldest is into Legos now. He lost 14 pounds. Fonzie is his brother. Talk about content is king. His wife is Katie. They're going to Disney for Christmas for 3 days with their whole family on the 18th to the 20th. They love Disney. His first date with Katie was at Busch Gardens.
Hey.
App called Text compiles all messages under one app. I have them listed. And then on 3/8/24, we rescheduled the podcast for today.
Wow. Look at that. Thumbs up.
Yes.
Thumbs up. The reactions love you out there.
That was very impressive. Yeah, I would love you forever. Every time you come. Now I know your secret.
I like the nitty gritty of the notes. And this is another lesson, right? Like, don't just take notes on the business. Like, oh, has this problem? What? Like, be personable. Like, be genuinely curious about somebody else's lives. Those are the best relationships I've had, you know, that have come from a business standpoint, to put it that way, are the relationships where I get more interested too in their personal life. Like, who is this person? You know, where they come from, all these things. Because then when you meet them again, you're like, oh, dude, like, you told me about, you know, your kid had an operation. How did that go? Like, they're going to appreciate that way more than you asking, oh, dude, how did that contract, you know, did you close that contract that you were working on? Like, I'm sure they're going to appreciate more that the fact that you remember some of their aspects of their personal life, and you're 100%. Actually building rapport with them rather than like talking about the business bubble.
Yeah. By the way, thank you for sharing my life with everybody now. Everybody knows that. You know, we love that. So if you guys,
cool is,
if you want to send Legos or Disney tickets, send them over.
I was just about to say that. So now listeners, hook them up with Disney stuff or Legos, and it really does. When I talked about calling people into their greatness, you said that was my superpower. Another one is really just allowing people to be seen and to feel supported and loved, because I think so often our inner critic is so loud that people need that, so that they can feel like they can start to shift that voice in their head. But it's just the basic human needs. And, you know, because I take notes on people all the time, I had a girlfriend who she'd mentioned, she's like, yeah, you know, she came from Oklahoma, and she usually does, she's like, I usually have tiaras and, you know, cupcakes and this and that. She was feeling so sad about her birthday. She just moved to Colorado. I took her to dinner and I bought her a tiara, and I showed up and she opened it as a present. She's like, oh my God. She forgot she had said that to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that made the biggest difference for her to feel at home here in Colorado now and to feel seen. Or, you know, when friends or family come over, I make sure my partner, his dad has Blue Moon beers in the fridge. His mom has Coke Zeros. She has her Ritz crackers and also bananas. You know, you pay attention and you show up for the people in your life that you care about, or whether they're new or old. And to me, that's a gift that we can give to ourselves, to do that for the people we, you know, that we want to cultivate with, because it feels so good to be able to like be thoughtful and caring.
Yeah. So, thank you, Steph. Thank you for the lesson and everything. By the way, but here, Debbie Downer over here. You had one wrong. One of the things there that was wrong. I'm gonna leave you to, which one is it, Fonzie?
I don't know. Would you tell me?
We did not learn.
He doesn't have a brother named Fonzie.
That's definitely the one. I am not Fonzie. Just like I'm a mask.
We did not learn podcasting from John Lee Dumas. We wish we would have learned podcasting from John Lee Dumas.
True,
we hit our heads a lot of times in our desk because we just want to do it ourselves. We didn't have the money to pay him, but we wish. I mean, John is a good friend now. We're part of the same network, and we tell him all the time. Him and Kate, we're like, guys, where were you when we started a podcast? So, but anyway,
she already updated the notes. I can tell.
I know, she's like,
yeah, she already like delete.
Yes. Oh,
I actually just did.
Yeah, it's so funny.
I love it.
No, yeah. Oh man, well, Steph, it's been a treat. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that we finally did this episode packed with value, obviously in so many ways, and I think this is gonna help people move the needle forward in their lives and in their business. So I know we're a little over, but is there any last thoughts that you want to share with us?
You know, I think I just want to touch on what Fonzie said. If you download that freebie, do it. Because I know, like Tony Robbins used to say, 10% of the people who would, you know, purchase his work did it. It was 10%. The other 90% did it because the 90% that purchased thinks that now they did an action, they're done. It's not that. dive into it, do the work, clear whatever is in your way so that you can really create the influence and impact in this world that you're meant to create, so that you can show up and create epic content, share your face, share your knowledge, share your wisdom. You're ready right now. You just have to get out of your own way. And if it takes a little, work, putting some time aside to do that, it is the best use of your time that you could use it for. So I just really want to encourage people, if you download it, do it.
Do it. Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Thank you
good.
so much.
Fonzie, anything else?
No, thank you. This was very enjoyable, a lot of fun, had a blast, and I'm actually looking forward to, take action with that resource.
That's right. Guys, with that said, thank you so much for tuning to the Contents Profit podcast. Go ahead and follow the show in your favorite podcasting platform and on social media at BizBrosCo.
That is Ryan. If it's Stephanie here, help you break through those mental barriers. Please don't forget to share this episode. And of course, don't forget to leave a 5-star review. See ya.
Bye, guys.